In this video, we are going to talk about 6 types of freedom you get when you've healed the fearful avoidant attachment style. I am Pauline, and I am so happy you are here because freedom is such a good feeling as you release more and more layers of the fearful avoidant attachment style. You will notice that you feel more and more free. So, what does that look like? What kind of freedom can you expect? That's what we're going to talk about. The first type of freedom is the freedom from triggers, and this is a big one. When you're in the midst of the fearful avoidant crash state, which means you are just kind of triggered to the max, that means that you're probably triggered on a daily basis continuously. And I remember that when I would be triggered, it could sometimes cause me to close off, just shut off for weeks, sometimes 2 or 3 weeks. Aryan, my boyfriend, could say one thing and that would just trigger me so much that I would just shut down. I wouldn't be able to talk, like physically wouldn't be able to get things out of my mouth, and just feel so many things in my body and not know what they were or how to label them or how to process them. And so my body would just shut down completely. So being triggered while not being able to process your emotions and feelings is really hard and definitely has such a big impact on your life. And it almost felt like every day was kind of a landmine. Like I would go out in the world and somebody could say something, or I could read something, or I could see something in a movie or on TV, and that could have me obsessing for days, or it could just have me shut down for weeks. And I would never know when it would come, and I wouldn't be able to control the reactions I had to it, and that just felt so unsafe that I would rather just stay at home. So being free from triggers gave me the possibility to just live and go out and not be scared of the things that were coming at me, the things I read, the things I saw on TV, the things people said. So it gave me the freedom to interact with people. And even if they said things that would have triggered me in the past, now I could just put them in context and think, oh well, that's their belief, that's their fears. I just kind of constructed my own way of looking at the world that worked for me, and that was part of why I didn't get triggered anymore. Obviously, just healing the fearful avoidant attachment style gave me that freedom, but it just made it so much easier to talk to people and to really listen to them instead of just being scared of what they said, or while we were talking thinking about that one thing they mentioned earlier. Um, and I was able to just read whatever I wanted. So that was the first type of freedom I gained when healing, and you will notice that too. This is one of the first types that you will notice. The second one is the freedom from pleasing others, and therefore not being the owner of your own time and energy. Because when you have the tendency to please others and you feel like you have to, you have no choice, that means that you make other people the owner of your time and energy. And nobody has a right to your time and energy, not even your parents, not even your partner, and not even your boss, in a way, which may be another topic. But um pleasing others is living life according to other people's expectations and or wants and needs, and um focused on everybody around you except yourself, while it is the truth that you are the owner of your time and energy, and you don't have any obligation to give that to anybody. You decide what you get to do with that. So even when people ask things from you, you don't have to do that. And that might sound very cold and selfish when you're still in the pleasing mode, because that's usually a sign of codependency. And then putting up boundaries and focusing on your own needs feels really selfish and feels very cold. But um, that is such a freedom to have, and in the end, it will help you have way more meaningful relationships that are based on equality and um, where love can flow much more freely instead of you pleasing them and trying to save them and trying to do everything for them, which can also be suffocation for you and for the other person. So when I stopped pleasing others, when I decided that that was not necessarily anymore, when I healed all the driving factors that were underneath that pleasing others, that was so freeing. I got so much more energy. I used to have chronic fatigue syndrome, and this part was a lot of the reason why that lifted, because I reclaimed my own right to my own energy. I felt like if I had energy, I had to give it to other people. I had to please others. And so my body kind of helped me by not having any energy, so that I could have time to myself. So that's how our beautiful bodies sometimes help us. I'm not saying that's always the cause of chronic fatigue syndrome, of course, but that's how it worked for me. And that's a freedom you will gain from not pleasing others, but at the same time also having more conscious, beautiful relationships and friendships. And being the owner of your own time and energy is just a wonderful feeling to have. Then the third type is the freedom from expectations. So I think a lot of fearful avoidants grow up with this set of expectations, and it could be about how you lead your life, like where it's going to, what you're going to do when you grow up, but also expectations about how you are or should be, or how you should behave, or how you should feel. And when you haven't healed yet, it is very easy to think that you expect that from yourself. That is just the way the world works. That is just a truth. And when you heal, you will notice that, wait, no, these are just expectations from other people. They don't say anything about me. They say something about my parents or my caregivers and the way they saw the world, the way they thought they had to be in order to be accepted by the world. And I don't have to meet expectations. Just that one belief alone will give you so much freedom. Even though somebody has an expectation of you, it doesn't mean that you have to meet that. That is not your responsibility. And that is so incredibly freeing, because that gives you the ability to create your own life. And that is what I want for you, because that's when you create something that is true to you and therefore better and more beautiful than anything you could create out of expectation. So the freedom from expectations is like, I felt the weight of the world on me. Like everybody expected something from me, not just my parents, but society, and just, so many things. And when all of that fell away, it was like, whoa, I'm liberated. I can just do whatever I want to do and create whatever I want to create. And what do I want out of life? How do I want to be? How do I want to interact with life, with the world, with other people? That was such an amazing exploration, such a beautiful journey, and I so wish that for you too, to feel that freedom from expectations. Then the fourth type is the freedom from subconscious patterns, self-sabotage, and protection mechanisms. This is also so liberating, because all of this was so hard to do on willpower. Like I could not stop self-sabotaging, or I could not stop those subconscious patterns just out of willpower. Like recognizing what is happening, and then next time when that happens, try to catch it a little bit sooner and a little bit sooner. I could never do that. It just didn't work, because it was so overwhelming. Before I knew it, I had sabotaged myself. I had picked a fight, and I had no idea where that came from. And or I would build something, like I would build on trust with my partner or with a friend, and then I would do something to completely sabotage that again. And it was just so frustrating and maddening that I didn't want to do that, but there was just this system working in inside of me that would do the almost exact opposite of what I wanted, out of protection, out of wanting to protect me. And so when I really started healing the fearful avoidant attachment style at the root, this cleared and the subconscious patterns just disappeared. The self-sabotage just stopped, and those protection mechanisms weren't necessary anymore, and so they were released. And all of that just really truly, when I now think about it, feels like shackles have been loosened, because in a way all of those protection mechanisms are shackles. They are meant to hold you back, to hold you in the place that you are right now, and tell you, don't go any further, don't go to something we don't know, because that could be unsafe. And to not have that anymore, and to just move freely towards where I want to go, in the sense that move freely in growing and learning and developing, that is just such a good feeling to have, and to be able to trust myself more, that I won't sabotage what I'm doing, and that I won't go against what I'm building without me being consciously aware of it. It's an amazing freedom to have. The fifth type is the freedom from emotional manipulation and unhealthy behavior. Because of healing the fearful avoidant attachment style and learning so much about unhealthy behavior, toxic behavior, it is way easier to recognize it now with others. And if I hadn't, I would still very much so be tempted, or how do you say that? It would be possible to manipulate me quite easily, because I was just so used to that from childhood. And now that I know exactly what that looks like, and I know the feeling it gives me, so I recognize that feeling, and I'm like, wait, hold up, this just doesn't feel good. What's happening here? That gives freedom, because otherwise I would just get pulled in without me really noticing, and feel guilty and feel shame, and go into that spiral. And now that just doesn't happen anymore. I know that it's not me. I know it's not my fault. And if somebody uses emotional manipulation, that is their choice. And I don't have to do anything with that. And I have every single right to put up boundaries, because that is unhealthy behavior. So recognizing that unhealthy behavior is so valuable and so important. And it gives you freedom to keep standing in your own power, and keep standing even if somebody is trying to pull you in or pull you in their direction. And so it just gives you, it gives you your own rights back. How do you say that? It gives you back the capability of just standing your ground, I guess. That's maybe the best way to say it. I don't know. But it definitely is freedom. It definitely helps. And then the sixth type is the freedom from being a slave to my feelings. When I was in my fearful avoidant days, feelings were everything. I would be pretty much all day, every day obsessed with checking my feelings, whether I felt enough of the feelings I wanted to feel, and trying to control my feelings, so suppressing the feelings I didn't want to feel. I was always so scared of what all those feelings would mean, and what the consequences of that would be. And it was so tiring, and it just consumed me completely. And I was always scared that some feeling would come. Like I was scared that I would become grumpy, or I would become unhappy, or I would become angry. And I was scared that I would never be happy, or that I couldn't hold on to certain feelings that I thought I should have long enough to be safe, I guess. And so feelings just completely consumed me. And now feelings are just not an issue anymore. Whatever feeling it's okay to have, even if it's shame or guilt or the really hard feelings to feel. It's just feelings, and they come and go, and sometimes I don't even really notice it anymore. I'm definitely not scared of any feeling whatsoever anymore. For the rest of my life, I don't mind feeling anything in my body, any sensation, and that is just so incredibly liberating, because if you're scared of your feelings and scared of your thoughts also, that is almost like having a prison inside of yourself that you can't run from, because you're locked up with this thing that you're really scared of. And that's exactly why it happens, because that's what you experienced as a child, being powerless, not being able to go away, and being in a house with something you're scared of. That's one of the core things of a fearful avoidant, that a parent or both parents or caregivers were your source of love, but also your source of fear and threat and being scared. So being liberated from that and not being scared of anything that lives inside of me, not being scared of any thoughts that come up or any feelings, it's just, yeah, I don't even know if I can describe it. It's just peace. It's peace. It's an unshakable peace. There's just something inside me that is just so secure and so certain and so peaceful, no matter what happens, no matter what I feel, no matter what comes at me. So yeah, that feels amazing to have, and I so wish that for you, that you get to experience that if you don't already. So these are just 6 types of freedoms that you or freedom that you get when you've healed. There may be more, but these are just some to show you what awaits you. I hope this was valuable. Let me know in the comments below which one of these you recognize, or which one of these you can't wait to experience. And as always, I am so happy you are here, and I will see you in the next one.